just wanted to talk a little bit today about finishing techniques. And these two items are not the same. This is called a tapestry needle, I believe. And the eye is big enough to pass, smaller yarn through. So I do like to use these for finishing trim pieces and hiding your yarn line when you're finished with a project. This is a plastic yarn needle. It is very big, and I have a pet peeve with plastic anything, because if you look closely, you can see that there's a seam here, and that runs up and through the piece here. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to bring it closer here. The reason I hate that is because plastic squeaks and pulls and does not glide through the yarn when you're crocheting. Same thing with this. And the eye is too big, and it pulls and tears out the yarn when you're trying to pass it through in order to hide your yarn leaders. And it's very difficult. So I hate plastic. No plastic for me. These needles, however, I really like because they're metal, they're aluminum, they're lightweight, but they glide through. And if you notice on some of the newer crochet hooks, these are Susan Bates ones, and I've always used Susan Bates. I just love them. But this is cut and it's smooth all the way back. The newer crochet needles, it's like they don't even go all the way back. They didn't cut through the metal all the way. And it's very easy to slip and miss stitches using the other kinds of needles. But I prefer these. These are all Susan Bates except for this one here. This is my all-time favorite hook because they got this nice plastic handle. They've got a little grippy here. The only thing I wish is that they were maybe a little bit longer on the end, on the tail. But it just depends on how your hand fits in them. But it's not a game changer or anything. I really like to get some of these pencil grips, or you can just wrap a simple rubber band around it for grippy. But these are my all-time favorite crochet needles, and so that's what I like to use. But here's how you finish off a seam like this. You don't want to see this anymore. You don't want to see this anymore. Now, some people, I've seen them just tie a knot and then they cut it off, and then they'll put like either glue or fingernail polish on it so it doesn't come unravel. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. There are finishing techniques, and I'm going to show you that right now. So what you do is, I like to use this tapestry needle. See this, I'm just going to do that rocking back and forth. Once you get that pushed through just enough, start to grab it. I usually use my fingernails, and then that'll pull right through. Just have to be patient and work it through a little bit at a time. So right about there, you don't have to tie a knot in it, but you want a good enough lead on there to make it stay. So what you do is you just go back through, and I'm just going to be weaving and going in a back and forth weaving pattern like this. Within the stitch pattern. You don't want to go through to the other side, just within that seam. And don't worry about the tension, pull it tight. I'll show you in the end how to do this. And so once again, I'm just going right in between that stitch pattern and just wiggling back and forth all the way to the end. I don't know if you can see that. And once you get it through there, as long as you're not coming out the other side, pull that all the way through. Take the needle off, pull that tight. And then you can, and even if this is pulled tight, then you can just cut that one. And you can get close, don't be afraid. Just make sure you don't cut your pattern. And then, even though you see that little end, all you gotta do is pull this out again, and it gets lost within there and you can't see it. And so when you're done doing your finishing techniques, you can add little embellishments like this. I like to save buttons, whatever color combinations you want. And they do make like felt backing to hide this thread a little bit. But if you're going to be crochet sewing it on or stitching it on with thread, wherever you decide to place it, you can use those same hiding techniques. I know I've seen some people super glue it on hats, which is just, I'm sorry, I think that's kind of ugly because it gets hard and crusty and it's not comfortable to wear, and then it ends up not looking nice after time because the glue gets discolored. So I don't like to use glue and things like that. I would rather just sew it on. So I like to make little things like this, and you can place it like this just to dress up the hat a little bit. And this is just a simple, you can do like the double chain technique, and you work your way in a circle. I'll go through that in the future, but it's easy to make little embellishments like this, especially with winter coming up. You can make all kinds of cute little things for spring. Little flowers like this, and then you can place the little button in there to add a little color. Have fun crocheting and get creative. Bye for now.